Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Driving Talk vodcast. And today I'm going solo again. Max and Paul, unfortunately, are elsewhere, so it's time for another Silverlake Sit-down with someone who is probably well known for travelling Europe these days to do their commentary, but you will have seen Alex Goldschmidt on lots of UK motorsports live streams over the past few years. Certainly this year you would have seen him at Croft for the TCR UK weekend. Our guest today on the Silverlake Sit-down is Alex Goldschmidt. Alex, how are you, sir?
Very good, Rob. Looking forward to having a good old sit down. It sounds like something mafioso, so to speak. If you like your Italian gangster films like Casino, Goodfellas, Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. Sorry, I had to get a bit of a Tony Montana reference into that one, but there we go. But yeah, no, great to catch up with you as always, mate. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago at Croft, even though that was May this year, and we're now what?
Wow.
We're now in the middle of August, mate. We're deep into the British summer, even though it's characteristically it's either raining
This
or
is
it's sunny.
not summer. This is not summer.
No, it's because one of the things that us Brits do, wherever we are, if it's raining, it's too wet, or if it's hot, it's too. If it's wet and it's cold and it's windy, it's like I'm freezing. When it's hot, like it's 25 degrees plus, it's like I feel like my skin's going to melt off. That kind of situation. You never can get an even keel, like say over in the continent. Even like some of my travels, like to Eastern Europe, such as Lithuania, was 25 degrees, nice and sunny. Latvia, 21 degrees, and we had thunder and lightning on during the drivers' briefing on the Thursday, on like say the Friday drivers' briefing, and yeah, it was just crazy. Like we had rainfall pretty much the entire day until the racing happened on Saturday. So it's not been plain sailing for just us lot here on the island, so to speak.
No, it hasn't, has it? And I think a lot of race weekends, certainly ones I've commentated on for the BRSCC, have been, there have been one day. I mean, Snetterton was a key example a few weeks ago. There was at one point it was absolutely chucking it down, and I wore the umbrella hat, which got a few laughs certainly from the Mazda MX-5 drivers. And then on the Sunday, glorious sunshine, great C1 racing. The weather held off. It was just a bit windy, so yeah, it was just fantastic. But obviously, this year has been an incredibly busy year for you, Alex. How's it kind of gone with the commentary? Because you are a well-travelled man, aren't you?
Oh yes, this year already I have travelled to. Oh God, I'm trying to remember now. I think I can count them on more than just one hand at the moment. So I've been to Latvia, I've been to Lithuania, I've been to France, I've been to Belgium, I've been to Germany. I've been all around, quite a few places. I've been to Lincolnshire, to Fulbeck in the UK. I've been to Croft, as we were talking, for TCR UK. As Mr. Stuart Lyons will say, TCR is the future. You know what? With a grid that's swelling like it is, you've also got the Miltech Sports Civic Cup. You have to give a shout out to those young drivers there. Two fantastic championships, and to have the opportunity, I have to say a big thank you to Stuart and Nicky Lyons and Ash Gallagher for giving myself, Henry Baudet, and our learned friend Mr. Scott Woodwist the opportunity to stand in for Andy McEwen, Anthony Jordan, and Owie, because they were all elsewhere. They were all over the place. I think Anthony was over in Europe on karting. Andy was somewhere else, I think British GT. Now he was back with the British Touring Car Championship. So it was a real great honour. I mean, myself, Henry Baudet, who is a good friend of mine from karting. We've known each other for quite a few years. And Scott, I've known since the Downforce radio days. Kudos to our Bezzy mate on that front, Mr. Jake Sanson, who I first met back in 2015. Yeah, I mean, I've probably got the best part of nearly 40 weekends away from home this year. And I'm due to head to Denmark for the Classic Kart Race 100cc European Grand Prix in the last weekend of August. I've then got the final round of the Rotax Euro Trophy at Paul Fletcher International. Second weekend of September. The Latvians have come calling again. They want me to go the week after Jelgava, 40 k's outside of capital city of Riga. I'm due to do other bits and pieces. I've got a couple of esports LAN events, so I'm doing a lot of sim racing commentary these days. I can't really disclose anything because they have been confirmed, but I'm not able to give I'm under sort of like an NDA, a verbal NDA, if you will, but there's some exciting developments in the pipeline for the remainder of 2023.
Fantastic. Well, we're actually going to begin at the start, effectively. So, growing up for you, what was it that did it for you in terms of motorsport? Was it a natural thing? Was it in the family?
First ever time I went to a racetrack, 1986, Brands Hatch. We missed pre-qualifying for Formula One.
Back when there was pre-qualifying.
Back when there was pre-qualifying, we're talking 86 when PK, Mansell, Berger and Prost and all that lot were battling each other. And this was when we were seeing the early forays of a certain Ayrton Senna de Silva. We missed pre-qualifying. We watched an absolute slobber knocker of a Formula Ford race. Formula Ford is still a category that I really love seeing whenever I get the chance to watch it. Yeah. Great category that still is going strong into its 6th decade. Of course, the Formula Ford Festival, Brands Hatch, happens every year, and then you've got the Walter Hayes Trophy that takes place at Silverstone. 2 great blue ride band events, and you look at the people that have competed in that, like say James Courtney, Mark Webber, Scott Malvern, who I've known for quite a long time. He's been
Russell
running with Russell Ingall's raced in that. Then there's a who's who that's raced in that event. Even a certain young Joseph Newgarden as well, if I remember correctly. So there's been a lot of names that have gone through Formula Ford, but yeah, the cloud cover was coming over. We were in the grandstands just off of Clearways, and I just got, I wasn't hooked at that point, but it was only until like 2 years later, Dad said, let's watch Formula One. And it just so happened it was the 1988 Monte Carlo Grand Prix when Ayrton Senna was in a McLaren trying to put a lap down on Prost. He binned it in the barriers just before the tunnel at Poitiers and then stormed off. And I was really captivated by Ayrton's, I wouldn't say laissez-faire sort of driver. He was throwing caution to the wind. He was making that car dance like it was like a dancing partnership in a ballroom dance or something. And Ayrton was the controlling partner, and the car was like his female partner on the dance floor. And it's just like the way that the car was still going out of corners, absolutely full pelt. It was something that was captivating. From then on, I got hooked.
So would you say that really in the early days, Ayrton Senna was the hero of yours?
Until his passing at the San Marino Grand Prix on May 1st, 1994, which also took the life that weekend of Roland Ratzenberger and Rubens, a very, very young Rubinho, Mr. Rubens Barrichello, he nearly came a cropper in his accident in the Jordan that weekend because he hit the curbs, went high, banged straight into the tyre barriers and was declared medically unfit. I mean, at that point, I was rooting for Ayrton. It didn't worry me if he had a Peugeot in the back of his car at the 1993 European Grand Prix at Donington Park with one of the best ever first laps in Formula One history. Don't at me on that, social media. But it was just like he was the hero. And one of the lovely things that I've got is a couple of years ago, because I'm a big Ayrton Senna fan, I've met his nephew Bruno a couple of times. I've actually interviewed Bruno when he was running with Aston Martin Racing in 2014 in the World Endurance Championship. And 2016 at the Battersea Park London E-Prix doubleheader for Formula E, when he was running with Mahindra, got the opportunity to meet him twice, and he's just recently gotten married. So congratulations, Bruno. My dad went and organised something very, very special, which I now have in my bedroom. It is a replica tribute race helmet to Ayrton, which has the same Brazilian flag-coloured race helmet with the respective sponsor liveries from 1994 with his last season at Williams. That is pride of place.
That is special. That is special and something very, very rare. Yeah. So, I mean, following on from that, commentary-wise, how did this sort of come about?
Well, I started in motorsport back in... A lot of people don't really know the true extent of my backstory, and that started in around about 2011. I was looking for a way into channeling my love for motorsport, particularly Formula One, because that was at that point that was the be all or end all. Of course, I'd been watching stuff like DTM and British touring cars as an avid petrol head, where listening to the likes of Charlie Cox, Murray Walker, Ben Edwards, amongst others, and even when Ted Kravitz used to be in the pit lane. Let's not forget, he used to be in the pit lane before he did F1. If people might not remember, and I started writing reports for a pop culture website. My good friend Chris Derra, based not too far from the NEC, which normally hosts the Autosport International show every January, said, well, send me over a test piece, see how you get on. We've already got a Formula One writer, and I looked at I can't remember the reporter's name, and the website's been defunct for quite a few years in terms of the pop culture side of things. But I started with, he said, well, what do you think you could bring? I said, well, how about let's go two wheels? Let's go MotoGP, shall we? And let's do the World Rally Championship. So I started from there, then got in touch with Vince Pettit at the checkerflag.co.uk. I then went on board as the DTM writer because being part German, I did speak a little bit of the lingo, and I thought that might be helpful to get my way in. Yep. And at that time, Scott Mitchell-Malm, who now works for the race, became TCF's British Touring Car Championship writer, reporter. So we started at the same time in the industry. That year, unbeknownst to me, when I was in the media room covering the Brit Car 24 Hours at Silverstone, a certain Jake Sanson was downstairs reporting in the pit lane. And then from there, I worked with the Checkered Flag, then started with my good buddy Luke Smith reporting on F1 for a website called Richland F1. Richland was the first part of the street that Luke was named in, and ended up getting media accreditation for the 2014 British Grand Prix. And that was on the weekend where just after John Button had passed, and we had the Pink for Papa on the Sunday to raise money. And I went in rocking a pink full collar dress shirt. Got Will Buxton and Jason Swells that point working for NBC Sports with pink shirts as well, with NBC and the Peacock sign on there as well. It was just such a great weekend. I'd travelled to Brands Hatch for my first DTM assignment earlier on that year. Had an interview with Andy Prio, 3-time World Touring Car Champion. He just went, mate, just everything went wrong. And then I remember the week before he went out. So I then went to Zandvoort to cover the penultimate round when Mike Rockenfeller, aka Rocky, won the title, finished second behind the ever fast Brazilian and one of the nicest guys in a paddock. Augusto Farfus won the race, but had to undercut him on strategy with regards to the tyre compounds. And that was the weekend when DTM actually had DRS, but the ASN, the KNAF, which is for Zandvoort, said, and the DMSB went, well, due to the severe winds and also the dust, we are now not allowing DRS to be activated at any point during the weekend, which was quite crazy. And then, that was the week before. That was the weekend before the Bathurst 1000. And if you might remember, there was an Xbox Holden Commodore wildcard entry, wasn't there?
Andy Prio.
And Matthias Ekstrom were competing in that. And I remember I went to have dinner at the BMW Hospitality, and that was one of the perks that you got as media. And I was trying, and I said, Andy, what's going on? He said, mate, and this is verbatim. I'm quoting Andy Prio, who recently celebrated his 50th birthday. So happy birthday, AP. He said, mate, even the car, he said, the car's so shit, you could even drive it better than me. That's the words that he said to me. I don't know if Andy will ever remember that, but I'm sure that the man from Guernsey will be able to remember that if he hasn't got a memory like a sieve. I'm one of these people that picks up on certain things. And then I met Jake. I think it was 2014, Autosport. And then I did cut a bits and pieces. I worked with Adam Johnson, the man that used to run the Team Bomber Sports channel on YouTube. Haven't spoken to him in quite a while, but a good friend based down just outside of Swanley. Did some Fun Cup when Zoe Wenham at that point was running in the championship, and we had it was a 4-hour race. We did the broadcast from Paul Clark's lovely venue at Stopwatch Hospitality overlooking the Brabham Strait. So there's me and AJ. We've had safety cars, we've had double yellows, and then 90 seconds before the race finishes, we see 3 cars going off into the kitty litter off of Paddock Hill Bend. We got 3 off at McLaren. The rain's absolutely coming down, and it's red flag. So that was my first commentary experience alongside Adam Johnson. Then I did BRSCC Silverstone weekend with Jake, where we had the Intermarks, we had the Mark II, we had the Golf Mark, with the Golf Mark II GTIs and the Performance VW Golf Mark V series. We also had Fun Cup that weekend as well. That was the same weekend where a tornado hit Silverstone and then went up to Rockingham and took out Jack Goff's IHG Hospitality. And Jake has always said every single year, we're still sorry about that. And I keep on trying to smack him and say, will you stop using that old gag from like 6-7 years ago? And then 2017 was when things really kicked off. I have to say a big shout out to my friend who's the voice of who's been the voice of the Formula Regional European Championship. He's been the English voice of Le Mans at Le Sarthe for the last 2 years and has also been doing F2 and F3 this year. Shout out to my good buddy Chris McCarthy, who gave me a great couple of opportunities. Did Daytona D-Max, which is like Club 100 with John Vigor. It's arrive and drive. You rock up with a race suit, race helmet, race boots. You go out there. Everyone's in the same equipment. And then I got the call to go to Europe 2 weeks for the first round of the Rotax Euro Trophy. The organizer was so impressed. He went, Alex, we need someone who can do the whole season. Here I am now, 2023, into my 6th year as the voice of European Rotax for the Rotax Euro Trophy, the B&L karting series. This year, as we've already talked on TCR UK and the Miltech Sports Civic Cup at Croft. I've also done German circuit commentary for Formula E this year at the Tempelhof in Berlin, which I have to say was one of the most surreal experiences because with my surname being Goldschmidt, I'm an 8th German by descent. My grandfather, Herbert, passed away when I was 5 years of age on November the 5th, 1982. I actually was commentating 25 minutes away by car from where he was born in Charlottenburg. So it was...
it was almost full circle at that point then.
Well, yes, yeah, it was. I mean, it was one of those surreal moments. And I have to say a big thank you to Gemma Scott, Loudspeaker Agency, Dale Brown, Kerry, and all the team at Funny Hands. Also, my good partners in crime that weekend, the presenting crew of Toby and Kayana. It was one of those weekends that I never thought was possible, and I just. This is how sometimes when you have an emotional subject to talk about, you are in full flow, and then you nearly become speechless. That's what's just happened to me then. But when Dell asked me, Alex, okay, for the last time this weekend, this was on, we'd had 2 different winners from 2 different races. We had Nick Cassidy on the Sunday, Mitch Evans on the Saturday. We had the App Cupra surprise and a half, their first ever pole position under the new team. Run by Thomas Biermeyer and also Fred Espinosa, who's a good friend of mine who I've known since my DTM days. Dell said to me, 4:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon, Alex, for the last time this weekend, thank you so much. You can step down. I said, thank you, everybody. It's been a fantastic weekend. A real pleasure to work with you all. Switched off my mic, took the headset off, and I was bawling my eyes out for 5 minutes. When it's that kind of seminal moment, you sort of like think, oh,
I can't believe I've just done that. Yeah.
It's like pinch myself. And the biggest thing that I got from it, I mean, not just being able to work with Funny Hands and also for Loudspeaker Agency for giving me that opportunity, for which I will be forever grateful. And hopefully it's not the last time it's going to happen. But the amount of people that saw me, I had this bright sort of like Barbadian hoodie that I was given by one of the crew from Kerry or Kerry number 1, because there's 2 Kerrys in the crew. We had both of them on site that weekend, and Kerry just said, "What's your size? Want to see if Formula E can hook you up with a little bit of merch. So I ended up, I told her what my size was, and lo and behold, the following day, it's you ever remember like the rocket lollies that you get?
Yeah.
That kind of color scheme. So it's like yellow, orange, and then red. That
Love
was
it.
when mine had that was the color of mine. So when people saw, because we were doing what was called a sports presentation, whereby you're doing a live broadcast, but it's not on any traditional like terrestrial or global or YouTube channel, whatever. It's more a case of you are doing it as a real life broadcast. You are interactive with everybody, and the amount I was like, it was a great weekend because between free practice, you had a little bit of time, so you could get out of the commentary box, get some air, have a chat with the crew if anyone was available, ask for any feedback or excuse me, or whatever. And then during the lunch break, I'd go over the bridge, which would be over the start finish straight, and then the amount of fans that had seen me, because after qualifying they'd go to the commentary box, and so I'd be ask my opinion and everything, and they go, "Hey, you're the commentator. Can we get a selfie?" It's like, yeah, why not? It's like milk it for all it's worth. And I became a bit of a Berlin Formula E mini celebrity. But I have to say that the people that really made it worthwhile were not just the comments from the crew that I was working with, and also from Chris Lynch from Formula E himself, who was part of the experiences management team, but the fans that got in touch with me directly, whether atting me on social media or tagging me. It really meant a lot, because if you can entertain the fans, that's the most important thing. And I was grinning like a Cheshire cat after that all happened, mate. And that's where we are now, where I'm in my 13th season in motorsport, and it's just going up and up and up. Like, that's the problem when you're in a man in demand. You don't know whether you need to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and be cloned like the Sixth Day or some crap like that.
So, would you say that Berlin Formula E race has kind of been your pinnacle moment so far? What have kind of been the other standout moments for you so far in your commentary career?
Having the opportunity to go to the Middle East twice in 2021. A lot of people say to me, "Well, how can you must." I get asked this question a lot, and I mention this to quite a few people within the industry. I get a lot of people asking me, "You must really enjoy what you do," and I said, "Yeah." "You must go to some really nice places." I go, "It's not what you think it is." I sort of like I sort of like drop the curtain and show them, warts and all. And I say, well, it's not that easy when you're having to leave home early to get to an airport. Then you're flying, however long it's going to take. Then you've got to transport the other side, whether it be a hire car, somebody picking you up. Then you've got to go to the track. You're probably going to see some countryside on your way in. And then you go to the hotel, eat, sleep, shower in the morning when you wake up, back to the track. You're there for the full day. You repeat the cycle until you go home. I think the opportunity to be the English MC and commentator for the MENA Karting Championships Nations Cup in the Sultanate of Oman at Muscat Speedway in November of 2021. And I have to say a shout out to Guy Sheffield from Alain Raceway, and also my friend Henry Baudet for their help. I mean, I got the call to do that. Henry was unavailable and referred Guy to me. Guy then got in touch. And then at that point, I met the man who was at that particular moment the vice president of the board at the Middle Eastern and North African zone of the FIA, who is now the current president, Mohammed bin Sulayem. I met the guy in person, and he complimented me on my way of conducting myself and how professional I was. He was there for the whole day on Sunday, and I said, "It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us, and good luck in the presidential elections for the FIA this year." And little did I know, 3 weeks later, he's elected.
Well, I mean, certainly you've rubbed some serious shoulders already in what is, in terms of commentary, it's actually a fairly short career so far. If you think about it, compared to certain other contemporaries like your David Addisons and and alike. I mean, they have very, very long careers, and are still doing it. So,
Yeah,
would
I
you?
think when like say for example British GT, David Addison was first on the mic for British GT. Let's put this into context, folks. 1992, and he's still one of the main voices along with Andy McEwen.
Yeah,
Doing
and
that
just to
championship.
make a few people feel really old, that was a year after I was born.
Now you're making me feel old because on the 5th of September 1977, yours truly was born. So this year, folks, you might not believe it, I am 46 years of age on the 5th of September 2023. Albeit when the amount of people that come across me, and if I do have a full beard, you will notice there are significant white hairs, but when I'm clean shaven, the main comment I get, Rob, is, "Oh, look at you." When I say so, have a guess at my age. They go, "Oh, I'll probably say you're in your mid-30s." Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm 46 in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you.
I'll take that all the way to the bank.
Yeah, people. To be fair, I've got the face fungus and I've got the long hair. People will probably take one look at me and go 50. It's it's one of those. So I mean, commentary aspirations. So you've done a hell of a lot already. Been throughout Europe, Formula E. Been to some major FIA championships and called them in the UK as well. Called some major events. Is there anywhere else you aspired to go as a commentator and call?
Actually, yes. I would love to at one point be part of the commentary team for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. If anyone was to say to me, would I prefer to be on Eurosport or Radio Le Mans? Well, considering the fact I've met John Hine, I've met Hindi, I've met Bradders in person, that's the career that I would like to work with as a preference. But if someone was to say to me, Eurosport are calling, they want you on the broadcast for the Le Mans 24 Hours, am I going to turn that down?
No.
Hell no. Sports cars. Sports cars is where I want to go. I really do like championships such as the Fanatec GT World Challenge powered by AWS. Because you haven't just got Europe, you got the Intercontinental GT Challenge, you got GT World Challenge Asia, TC America, GT World Challenge America, Australia, of course. One of the other events that I love is the Liquid Molly Bathurst 12 Hours. You got Crailsy, Hindi, and a few other people, including the legend that is Gearbox Girl, Shay Adam. Sports cars is where I really, really do enjoy it. But also being a prominent voice within sim racing. And last year I had the prestigious honour of becoming the lead commentator for the 2022 Sim Racing Expo at the Nürnberg Messe. And it was 4 days of commentating, presenting, reporting, and it's something that I really, really enjoyed. And I think also, I've commentated on quite a few leagues within sim racing, both on ACC, iRacing, R Factor 2. There's such a great community out there that, I want to continue doing that and sort of add my je ne sais quoi, my sort of style of commentary, but also my personality and my sense of humour along with it as well, Rob.
Fantastic, Badoon, fantastic. And getting behind the wheel, has there been any point where you've been tempted to go and get your arts test and do it?
The answer, I'll be completely honest, is a resounding no. But it's not for the fact that I don't want to do it. It's the fact of, in a commentator's world, you are really, really busy, because not only do I do commentary, I do reporting, I do social media, I do video editing and content creation. I'm vlogging every single bit of traveling I'm doing this year. I'm doing my Commentator's Corner podcast, which I'm so glad that I've been able to have you on quite recently, which is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and from at the time of this recording, will be on Amazon Music and Google Podcasts. So I'm trying to sort of start expanding on that passion project, whereby I'm not there to do it for the money. But yeah, coming back to your question, doing an ARCS test, I'd love to do it. But I'm at that point in my life where I'm content with the role that I play within motorsport. I have gotten behind the wheel of a real race kart, and people that decide they want to lambast me about this, just have a listen to this story. 2021. Now, I'm part of the Rotax family. I'm one of the most established voices in that paddock, along with Henry Baudet, who is the voice of the Grand Finals. So we are the two most recognised Rotax-related commentators. Steve Chapman, who's part of the e-kart team for BRP Rotax based out of Austria, asked me if I wanted to drive the all-electric Project T20 at the Bahrain International Karting Circuit at the Rotax Grand Finals in December of 2021. I kindly refused, but then I didn't sweep it to one side. I said to him, well, let's do the test in April at the end of the Euro Trophy weekend next year. I'll feel a little bit more fresher. I don't want to have to try and catch a flight. I didn't have much time anyway because I had to get back to the hotel, change, shower, get all my stuff and my luggage, get on the bus, get to the airport, fly overnight back to Heathrow. I didn't want to, firstly, be tired behind the wheel because it had been a long week anyway. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to cause myself a mischief before I went home, and I didn't want to damage any of the equipment. So, I have to say, being a person that's involved in karting, I haven't competitively karted, like say owner-driver. I've done like some rental stuff here and there, but not to the point where I've had the urge. I always feel that for me, my place in motorsport is telling the story.
Yeah.
Educating, informing, and exciting the masses that watch and listen. I mean, that's where I feel my point in motorsport is. I mean, if there ever came the opportunity later on in life when I've sort of slowed down a little bit, I don't know if that's going to happen. But if there ever came an opportunity where someone said, I'll help you pass your ARCS test, I probably wouldn't say no. But then it's a case of, right, okay, what do I need to do to carry out all my work that I do, because you and I are both busy individuals, and still get this done? Because then I have to look at, okay, what's my scheduling like? Because not only am I having to juggle what I do in a full-time basis, but then, of course, family. You know, I'm very close to my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece, my nephew, my mum and dad who live just down the road. There's a lot that goes on in this family, and also our own personal lives are part and parcel of how we have to micromanage everything. Like literally my Google Calendar is consistently updated on a daily basis on what am I doing. I'm writing down lists of what I need to do, when I need to do it by. Okay, who does this need to go to? Who does that need to go to? What am I prepping for next? So you've always got cogs turning in your brain. And if I threw an ARCS test in there, I think it would probably like scramble my brains, like someone trying to put it down into fourth and break a cog on the gearbox. Then all of a sudden you got no drive, you know?
Absolutely. No, that's and full respect for you to that for being quite upfront and honest, because a lot of people probably wouldn't, and they would just try and drive something. But you know, fair play for being so upfront and honest about it, dude. And again, thank you for coming on to this episode of the Driving Talk podcast. Our Silverlake Sit-down this week in sponsorship with Silverlake Automotive Recycling, your number one choice for all reclaimed parts for the automotive and motorsport world. Head to silverlake.co.uk. Don't forget to head there for your green reclaimed parts. So I'm going to talk about, everyone goes to the go-to question of what's your best moment in commentary? But everyone knows life has its ups and downs. So what would be some of the more challenging moments?
Actually, there's quite a recent one. 2022, it was the second round of the Rotax Max Euro Trophy in Val d'Argenton, just west of Nantes. So we had we had multiple different classes. So we had the mini max drivers who were from like 9 until 12. And we had like juniors, seniors. We had the DD2 and the DD2 Masters, which are gearbox classes. So you've got no direct drive, so no chain-driven sprocket to the rear axle, and it's a 2-speed gearbox. And then we had the Project E20s that I was just talking about with regards to getting behind the wheel. Well, Saturday was going really, really well. We were having some great racing. And at Val d'Argenton, there is this fast right-hand sweeper, which you are taking over 45, 50 miles an hour, and you are on the throttle all the way through the corner. So one wrong mistake and it can all go horribly wrong. So we've got the second heat of E20 out, and Alex Goldschmidt, my good friend, the Electric Renegade, who's racing in the Next Gen Cup, which is the all-electric mini championship run by Frederick Lestrup, ex-STCC race team boss, and he's the founder of the championship. Well, Ellis went for a move on Sam Chappell, a Brit who's also part French, and the velocity and the resulting contact and drama that happened. Well, Ellis has gone for a move up the inside of the final right-hander. He's tagged the back of Sam, and he's ended up backwards through the gravel, and then the cart has somersaulted over the fence and has hit a spectator.
Yeah.
Now, these E20 carts are not light. I'm about 40 to 45 kilos less. So I'm 95 kilos. That thing's 140 kilos with battery pack, drivetrain, and all. We had medical team, we had helicopter, we had the whole lot. I was silent for an hour and a half on that microphone. It's one of the most...
obviously at that point, what people don't realise is that any race event, when they call PA silence or radio silence, that's it. You can't commentate, you can't call anything to even reassure people, because they have to keep all channels and all sounds clear so that the emergency crews can listen to what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've done throughout my commentary career. When I started in the Euro Trophy, I made a specific suggestion, and I said, if there is a red flag, and it's I will not commentate or give any updates until I know any information. On that one, because the commentary box, I could see exactly what was going on. Forgetting what's on the live stream screen, I could see exactly what was going on. And I switched the mic off, and I just went, I'm going outside. I went outside, and I sat down at the bottom of the stairs, and they said, you okay? I said, I'm okay. As if to say, sleep, just leave me alone. As if the polite way of saying, I don't want to talk about anything at the minute.
Yeah, you just need to kind of collect yourself.
That was that's one of the most difficult moments that I've had to personally deal with as a commentator. It's, I mean, at the end of the day, metal can be replaced, but we're all human. We can only think of the best possible circumstance from it. And as far as I'm aware, the man that was impacted by the E20, Val d'Argenton, has made a full recovery, as far as I'm aware, from knowledge to myself. Ellis, the driver, I know him and his mum and dad very, very well. They're up sticks from New Jersey, Hoboken to be more precise, to Dusseldorf. So they're in Western Germany, and he's racing all across Europe, Scandinavia at the moment. And he got away with a very, very light injury, but it could have been so much more worse than what it actually was. But yeah, that for me was the worst ever time that I've had to deal with personally as a commentator. I've seen it where carts have rolled over, drivers have been either trapped underneath them or they've got out of dodge sharpish. I've seen it where drivers have been injured. But it's quite interesting when they say, well, what happened? And I can slow down the YouTube footage and say, well, look, if you look at what's happened here, and there was one incident where someone ended up with a broken left wrist because they got hit by somebody else and the wheels are intertangled and brought the steering wheel left hand down whilst the driver was still holding it, and it broke their forearm. And they were off for like 6 to 8 weeks out of action, not being able to compete. Yeah, that's the worst one that I've had. In terms of the event that's really that you felt very, very close to, of course, quite recently, earlier on in July, we lost Ilana Venthoff, the youngster from the Netherlands, the 18-year-old running for MP Motorsport at the Formula Regional European Championship, powered by Alpine. I'd been at the 24 Hours of Spa working with Simucube, Eau Rouge, and Team WRT, and I was at Captain Defagne, literally about 180 kilometers away. and we heard the news that Delano had passed due to the incident. And that was another one that was close to home because the Van Toff family knew Thierry Lepine, who's the owner and proprietor of the Marienburg circuit, and we it was. I got about 5 or 6 WhatsApps, and my friend George. I have to give a shout out to my friend George Morgan. He was the guy who was commentating on there, and of course the cameras didn't see the full severity of the incident.
Yeah,
but,
which is it's good because unfortunately we do live in a bit of a morbid society at times. So sometimes people do forget the human element of it. Okay, that's led to someone's lost their life there,
son or daughter, or exactly. Yeah. I mean the and this is one of the things that I really have to say, because social media at so many times can be so destructive to our mental health in general. Let's not forget that when I first had one of these, and I'm not talking about an iPhone, I'm talking like an Ericsson GA628 in 1996. That was my first phone. When you had one screen line to text, I said back then we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have X or Twitter or whatever Elon Musk wants to call it now. We didn't have all of that. And now in this day and age, and I'm not going to call anybody out because it's not right to do so, but it's just sort of like a word of warning to you youngsters out there, that just be aware that your actions dictate how someone's mental health can subsequently be affected. It really, really is so destructive nowadays that people are committing suicide. People are thinking of taking their own lives. There's so much happening in this younger generation that I find abhorrent. There's so many different platforms out there these days. Like there's Instagram, there's Snapchat, there's all these different platforms that I think, like you and I, we use these as part of our work.
Whereas, tools, yeah.
Like I see so many young kids in karting paddocks on their phones, and they're walking along. They're not looking what they're doing. And I just go, hey, you're racing here this weekend. Why are you on your phone? Like, I'll actually ask them and say, what are you doing on your phone? I'm doing an Instagram update. Okay, that's good, because you're trying to get the reach out about yourself. But I always ask them, let me have a look. Because sometimes if they say something, they say one thing, they mean something completely different. So I just want to put it out there that social media, I find at some points can be just so destructive to people's sense of well-being. Because let's look at it this way. People, and I'm going to use it in this vernacular, armchair experts are one of the worst trends that have come out of social media when they were talking about the incident involving Delano. It's like, and then you've got Adam Fitzgerald, who is the other person that was in the Juan Manuel Correa position with Antoine Hubert back in 2019. There are so many people that have an opinion, but it's not the right opinion. It can be destructive. What if the family sees these comments on MP Motorsports' social media channels, for instance, as a hypothetical?
No, quite right.
I think the thing is, when it comes to social media, be very sparing about what you say and how you say it, because it can make the difference between someone feeling good and someone feeling completely and utterly bad about a certain situation. So watch, listen, think and understand what you're going to type and put it in the right way, because I think there's always one of these other things that I was always taught as a young man, Rob, which is talk to people as the way that you want to be treated, which is what I do to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, completely agree with you. And you make some great points there, and it's not just obviously the karting world, it's life in general. I mean, you do see some absolute tools out there, and the armchair experts, as it were. And the bit that frustrates me is most of them have never even been trackside in their life. let alone
Oh,
set
yes.
foot in a car or karts at speed. So they don't actually know the time frames involved. You know, a silly move gets made, but they don't realise that that's within a split second. They've made that choice, and it's lady luck that's put them into that position. I mean, you know, you can have stupid incidents like you had a few years ago with the kid that threw the bumper at the other karter. You know, you can have incidents like that that go a
Oh,
bit viral
yeah.
for various reasons.
Yeah.
Um,
Luca Corberi against Paolo Ippolito. And
yeah,
it was just at the track that Corberi's dad just happened to own, and it all kicked off in the part for me. And I still remember the words mentioned by our learned friend, Mr. Jake Sanson. Luca Corberi, what on earth is he doing? But it was just like, it was the way that Jake actually said it. It was done in the
yeah,
right vernacular, the right tone was used.
yeah.
And people just got on their high horse about that. But yeah, there are people on the tracks out there that sometimes don't always get it right.
No, absolutely. And armchair experts, now Sodom. So for the rest of this year, then, what bodes for Mr. Alex Goldschmidt for the rest of this year? We're in August now.
Oh,
We're in mid-August. What does the rest of 2023 hold for you and beyond?
well, I'm a busybody right up until the week before Christmas. Like literally, I have got. Well, I mean, there's certain things I can't disclose, but they will be announced on social media in due course.
Okay.
But now that you've asked
So
me that, I've got to try
no
and
exclusive, no exclusives for the Driving Talk podcast at all.
all I'm going to say is that there are a couple of sim racing LAN events that I'm going to be a part of this year, because things have only just been confirmed. But once those do go public, then I will be spamming everyone's social media about it. But what I can tell you about is I've got the the classic kart race 100cc European Grand Prix. So we're going pre-85, pre-93, pre-2000s, old school Formula 100cc's. Got the final round of the Euro Trophy for Rotax at Paul Fletcher International. Waiting on Latvia to call again. I've been over to Latvia and Lithuania. So I've been to Eastern Europe 3 times this year. I've got the B&L karting series at Karting Genk in Belgium, a track which is my European commentary home. I'm actually going there twice, once in early October, once in the last weekend of October. I'm also keeping my grassroots UK karting, Rye House Pro Kart, first Saturday of October and November, so I'm doing the last couple of rounds of that, and then heading to, more than likely going to be heading to the Rotax Grand Finals this year at the Bahrain International Karting Circuit. It's the second time that I'll have been to Bahrain. The first time was in 2021 when I went to Oman. And that was all when, PCR tests and vaccination and visas and all that kind of stuff were de rigueur. Especially if you go into the GCC, there is a lot of red tape that you have to abide by in order to get entry into those countries. But they do it for very, very good reason. They're very, very security conscious, which is a good thing. And then, my last event is the week before Christmas, yet to be fully confirmed, but it's 95% of the way there. So, pretty much every single month I'm doing something. I'm doing a lot of sim racing commentary, working with JP Broadcasting, run by James Parfit. I'm also one of the main voices of the Moser Racing Endurance Championship, powered by Sim Racing GP. Done 3 rounds. We just had Mount Panorama. So it felt like a mini sim racing Liquid Molly Bathurst 12 hours, but it was an absolute ripper. Sorry, I just had to throw that one in there for good measure, didn't I? Larko, you would have loved it, mate.
Oh, yes.
So, I've got a few more rounds of that to do. Just keeping busy. I'm working on social media. So the B&L karting series and the Rotax Euro Trophy, being not only the commentator for the series, I'm also doing the social media. I'm also doing video filming, content creation, and producing the stream. Like, say, okay, this is how I want it to go. This is what I planned. Yada yada yada. Also work with Darren Beavers, Matty Street at the Kart Championship, which is for 2024 being run by Champions Kart Club, who have become Motorsport UK recognised, which will allow a lot of drivers from Bambino right the way up to juniors to get themselves a free Motorsport UK racing licence to further improve their opportunities to move forward. And yeah, I think it's just, and also just doing my vlogging, which I've just done vlog number 12 of my travels to France for the penultimate round of the BNL karting series, doing my Commentator's Corner podcast, and yeah, just sort of like just trying to listen to my body a little bit more. I mean, I'm in my mid-40s now. I'm just at that point in my life where I've just got to really start going, okay, listen to your body, provide it with what it needs, and also if you need to rest. Don't fight against it, because if you start fighting against it, you're first of all doing yourself a wrong, and second of all, you're probably compromising how you're going to perform. Like, say, if you've got, I've got 2 sim racing broadcasts this week, but I've got social media, I've got prep work for next week for the race in Denmark to sort of like start off, to continue with. So it's an ongoing process. There's no, as they say, Rob, when you do a job that you love, it doesn't feel like a place of work, but also no 2 days are the same.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I think what a place to leave that. I mean, Alex, it's been great to finally get you on the Driving Talk podcast. I mean, you've as soon as we announced it was happening and the news got out there, you were straight on to me like, I'd love to come on and talk with you. It's great to catch up, and after seeing you at TCR UK at Croft, it was great to see you again after a few years, mate. And it's great to see how your career. I mean, everyone kind of thinks that motorsports commentary is purely for circuit racing. It really isn't, and you're doing a fantastic job traveling the world and telling everyone just how good karting is.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of advice for you, you young commentators out there. Believe you me, from experience, sometimes, okay, they did say that God made the earth in 6 days, but it's not going to be on that timescale for you guys to get into commentary. Sometimes it's about perseverance. There's the 7 Ps. Piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. If you are not prepared for any event that you do, believe you me, that will reflect in the way that you tell the story. Be yourself. I have my own commentary style whereby I like to tell the story at a very, very nice, elongated pace. But then when it gets exciting, believe you me, I crank it up more than Spinal Tap does. I go to volume 12 on that. But it's about learning from other people, learning how to conduct yourself. The first impression is the way that you will kickstart your career. You look at some of my compadres, Scott Woodwis, Jake Sanson, Henry Baudet, Anthony Jordan. We're some of the people that might have come from karting, but you know what? We are multifaceted. You could put Paul O'Neill, let's say, for instance, Paul O'Neill, you could put him in a karting paddock and he'd absolutely flourish. 100%. But it's about putting in the hard work. There are going to be times when you're going to do gigs for either next to no money or no money. For the first 6 years, Rob, until 2017, I didn't earn a penny. You know what it's like. You're doing late hours. I mean, like when I was in the media centres in DTM, I was getting to the track at 8 in the morning. I wasn't leaving until like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So you're doing 14-hour days. You might even do a couple of hours work if your brain's still not switched off if you're back at the hotel room, which you've had to pay for out of your own pocket. And the other biggest thing that I'm going to leave you all with, you young commentators out there, is to never lose sight of your goal. Whether it be Formula 1, whether it be Formula 2, Formula 3, World Endurance Championship, ELMS, IMSA, it does not matter. If you have a dream, keep on knocking on that door, because you never know. If you're in the right place at the right time, they'll want you. And they'll want you for good reason. But to get to that point, you've got to put in the hard miles. I mean, it never gets easy for me. I'll just give you an instance. For those wondering, when I went to France, I flew to Belgium instead of France because I couldn't find a direct flight to the Lille airport. You had like between 7 to 15-hour layovers, which would have made it me even later than I ended up being. The delays on the airplane, delays getting the baggage at the airport, delayed getting the hire car, delayed getting to the track. But you still don't lose sight of that goal. You're there to do a job. Enjoy yourself whilst doing the job, but at all times, be professional, make friends, and be the person that everyone wants to speak to in the paddock, because you're the voice of that championship. And if they give you information and you can use it as part of the story, it's absolute gold dust. So never lose sight of your goal. Keep pushing and never give up. I never gave up. My dad used to be my biggest doubter. Now he's one of my biggest supporters. How's about that for a rags to riches story when it comes to emotion there, Rob?
Fantastic. And what a way to end this edition of the Silverlake Sit-down on the Driving Talk podcast, powered by Icon. Alex Goldschmidt, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And just so that everyone could be aware, once again, where can we find you on the socials, and what series for the rest of this year? Where can we listen to you?
Okay, right. I should know these off by heart anyway. But on Facebook, you can go to my official Facebook professional page, which is Alex Goldschmidt MMC. On Twitter, it's at agoldschmidt77. And on Instagram, well, Twitter, well, X, whatever you want to bloody call it. Elon Musk, I don't know why, but never mind. I'll call it Twitter, I don't care. And Instagram, it's Alex Goldschmidt77. For those wondering about why I've used the 77, no, I'm not a Valtteri Bottas fan. Those are just the last 2 digits of my year of birth. So something that's personal to me, but also has a little bit of a motorsport connotation. My friend, my Finnish friends at SimuCube laughed about that, and she said, "Oh, so Valtteri got the number off of you?" I said, "Yeah, I think he owes me royalties."
Fantastic. Well, a brilliant edition of the Driving Talk podcast, powered by Icon. And next time we will have more superb guests on, hopefully with Max Coates and Paul Harvey back on with us. But for now, from me, Robert Lewis, and our guest tonight, Alex Goldschmidt, it's goodbye.
Thanks a lot.